Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Name the dog, Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man who loves to kneel before Jod. It's Frank. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. Pirates and all, you know, it's hard out here on the high seas of hyperspace, but someone's got to do the work. Arr.
It's hard out here for Space Pirate, Frank.
It's true.
Indeed.
It's true.
Indeed.
How you doing, bud?
I'm good. Thank you for asking, as you always do. Before we get into whatever it is that we're talking about, I know that life is hard out there for you, as you said. What are you drinking to ease that hardship?
I am easing that hardship by continuing my my grand tour of Belgium with another St. Bernardus Abbey Ale. This is their Prior 8 Abbey Ale, which, to be honest, I don't know why it's, I guess, 8 because it's 8% alcohol. I guess that's why. But it is chestnut brown with a deep red glow and presenting a lovely rounded head. This beer stands out with its fruity aroma, complemented by exotic touches of figs and dates.
Ooh,
and it is, yes, it
bad
is.
Dates.
It's bad date. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. I love it. It's the St. Bernardus that comes in the red bottle for those of you who are not watching. So if you, that's it's
colorblind. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I got this at a nice beer shop a month or two ago now, and I've been working my way through these nice Belgian beers. It's my favorite style of beer, so I'm just sort of savoring them and enjoying it a lot. What are you enjoying today?
I wish this was more thematic than it was, because it's a great name for a beer. I'm drinking a Duchovni from the Medusa Brewing Company.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that's incredible? It's a Pilsner. It says the Pils is out there, or this Pils is out there.
That's great. I love that. I love the can. I love the theme.
I love the whole thing. The rendition of the classic Bohemian-style Pilsner, this straw-colored lager is dry, floral, and liberally hopped, with Czech says for a bit of bite. An indisputable favorite among both the Medusa team and our taproom regulars, Duchovni was awarded the World's Beer Gold Cup Medal. Prost.
Wow. Nice.
Indeed.
I do love a good Czech-style Pilsner.
Me too.
It's a nice... It's one of those nice European beers that's like very refreshing and always reliable and just always enjoyable. Kind of any time of year, really.
Yep. It's. I didn't think it's the type of beer that I needed tonight, but it turns out it is. You ever have one of those?
Yes.
Where you open it up and you're like, nope, this is what I needed. My hand was correct.
This is the beer that I needed right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the beer I deserved, but it's the one I needed right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wish, like I said, it was more, I wish it was thematic. I wish we were talking about the X-Files, because this is an incredible beer, to talk about that. But truthfully, I've not seen much of the X-Files. It's on my going to binge eventually list. Have I talked to you about this? I can't even remember.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Star Trek first, and then the X-Files. That's the next one. Arguably, that will take me a lot less time than Star Trek.
Right. I would think. Yeah. That's one for me. a podcaster I like jokes that, no, I haven't read the complete works of Shakespeare. I'm saving that for prison. And that's kind of how I feel about X-Files. Like, no, I'm saving that for prison. You know, when I have a long stretch of time in my hands where I got that's when I'm going to break that out. I am saving it for prison.
Can you imagine if that was what prison was like, where they were like, no, you can just sit in your cell and binge stuff.
Right.
You're like, cool. That's amazing.
All right.
Like, yeah. It's not like that.
Sign me up for another couple of years. Let's do.
I already made it to season 4 of the X-Files.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do it. Come on. Let's do this whole series over again.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Mm-mm.
No. Frank, you and I both watched Skeleton Crew, Star Wars Skeleton Crew on Disney Plus. We have not talked about it with each other basically at all.
Yeah, not really.
No, so I have a feeling that you liked it. That's about as far as I've got. That's all I know.
I really liked it. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was a really nice little, you know, it's sort of its own little pocket of story. There's not a whole ton of, like, you know, it's not a domino effect onto another piece of Star Wars lore, really, and that's fine. Like, I think in this case, it's really kind of a fun little story on its own that is so such like a love letter to Goonies and that style of adventure storytelling.
A lot of Amblin movies,
a lot of Amblin in general, yeah.
Even E.T. or, you know, any kids having an adventure in the 80s, like Monster Squad, any other ones like
for sure
right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's a very, very fun love letter to that style of storytelling, and I just thought it was such a fun idea and brought to life so well.
I agree. I really enjoyed it. A part of me wished that it was more connected, but that part of me is stupid. Like, like, oh, he wasn't Dash Rendar. Oh no, that's what I was hoping for. Shut up, me. That's
shut up, me.
I had to telling myself to, in some ways, just enjoy the not the low stakes ride necessarily, but like the disconnected ride.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's pretty new for Star Wars. Like,
it's true
to tell an adventure that has really no bearing on any character that you've met before or will meet in the future or anything like that. It just was the story for the sake of telling the story. And so by the end, I just loved that about the show. It's actually I loved that about the show when it started, and then by the end, I had kind of hoped that it would bridge somewhere. But ultimately, after finishing it, I'm glad it didn't. That was my big takeaway, is that, okay, it takes place in the era of the New Republic.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I need. That's fine. Yeah. Like, I don't even know who the pilots in the X-Wings are.
Sure.
It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, doesn't matter. I expected what's his name to show up. The guy that shows up in the Mandalorian.
Yeah. I mean, it is during that general time frame, so it's yeah. That is funny to think about. I mean, I kind of did expect it to be him too, to be honest. But there's something that I kind of enjoy about it being its own little, like I said, its own little pocket story. Down to the fact that the planet was that At-Aten was sort of in its own little pocket reality almost, where they were separate from everything that was going on around them off world.
Oh, nice meta connection, Frank. Didn't even think about that. That's great. No, I think that it used the history of the Star Wars universe to its advantage as an easy launching point. Like, I think in some ways you have to know why old Republic credits are what is that or anything like that. But besides that, you can just you don't have to know who Luke Skywalker is or was or will be. You have to know about Mando or Grogu or Princess Leia or Thrawn or Ahsoka or anything. You didn't have to watch Rebels.
No, certainly not.
No, it just is the show. And I think that is like I said, shut up me. That's actually really refreshing, because you just don't really see that, like, everything is connected. Like, it's the Marvel style.
Yes.
The interconnectedness, you can watch them on their own, but you are missing 10 to 20% of the story if you do that.
It's the Marvel style. It's the comic book style, really, right? Where it's like, there's always a tie-in that you're kind of missing out on if you're not reading.
Totally. Yep, absolutely. Like, you can read the main event, but if you didn't read the 8 tie-ins, then you don't really get the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
And also, those eight tie-ins probably aren't going to be very good, just so you know.
Yes.
Yeah. But I found Skeleton Crew incredibly endearing. I thought the cast was strong. I thought the kids were good. I thought, I'd say like 3 out of the 4 of them had like texture and like a layered performance. One of them did not. I'm not going to call out which kid didn't. I feel like that's rude because they are children.
They are.
And so, but if you watch it, you can see. But I would just, I think I lost my train of thought. So you say things.
I think the kids were actually great, and they're key to like selling this, right? Like if it's going to be a kid centered show, it really is. They've got to be good. They've got to be a good group that you can build a show around.
Like Goonies, like
exactly, like Stranger Things, to be able to carry the show. And I think this is a great group of kids. Just to sort of, it sounds like it's not likely there'll be another season of the show. I mean, the series itself kind of doesn't leave it really open to for a very obvious opening for a season 2 to even happen. So it's that's well enough, but it's super cool. I think that we have that, like, this one-off story that is featuring these kids. If they were, if there were to be future seasons, it might be tough to sort of follow them as they age. They're already like 2 or 3 years older than when this was shot. So, that might actually prove kind of hard to do well anyway. So I feel like it's sort of a, like, this is fine. There's not going to be another season, most likely. It's too bad that there won't. It's too bad that it sounds like they weren't happy with the streaming numbers and maybe other stuff too. But and that's a shame, because it really is a fantastic show, and I think it deserves to be seen more. But I hope it gets one of those like cult followings later. That because I feel like it deserves that.
I think so, but I think anybody that really watched it would say that too. I think so. The biggest issue with it, sadly, I think to the people who didn't watch, is that it is disconnected.
Yeah,
and
right.
It is about a bunch of kids, and that it's just fun for the sake of being fun. But it's tough because, like, it wants to be the Goonies, or it wants to be E.T. or something like this, any of those Amblin style projects. But the thing with those projects is that when they came out at a different time, and they were, I don't know, how do I say this? Like, kids could just go and watch them on their own. Like, maybe it was because the TV wasn't being controlled or dictated in some way, like like the numbers were there for that style of content. But I feel like the majority of Star Wars fans are not young. They're our age and older.
Yes.
And so so now they're expecting something different out of Star Wars, but Star Wars isn't maturing with them. It's staying what it is. And so, like, I don't know, they're in this weird space of not being trusted by their audience, and like part of their audience wanting what had originally always come before, but then also not being there to watch it. I don't know. Like, honestly, I'm glad that I do not work for Lucasfilm, because I think they're trying to crack an unbreakable code.
It's a tough spot for them to be in. It is. And the last few shows, I think, have struggled. I think Ahsoka had its struggles. I mean, even Obi-Wan had its struggles. Ahsoka had its struggles. And then most recently, The Acolyte. Because, they are kind of trying to make a lot of shows for a lot of people. And I think when they do that, they may be kind of making shows for nobody at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear what you're saying about that. I think it's a shame that this one is going to sort of pay the price, I think, for what a lot of the other shows are dealing with. Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because Skeleton Crew is better than all those shows that you just listed.
It is, and it's a shame that it's going to pay the price for them.
Mm-hmm. And not to say that I didn't enjoy any of those other ones. I have, but Skeleton Crew is easily the strongest. Like, it's easily the strongest thing that Disney has released as a show since the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. I would agree. It's I think it's the best thing that they put out in quite a while. I mean,
it's just not to say that I haven't enjoyed the other ones.
No, of course, and let's not forget, we didn't mention Andor, which I think is an exception to.
I thought you actually did mention it, so that's okay. It's
no, I think Andor is fantastic, and like it's not. I don't think it's subject to a lot of the same problems that the other shows are. But that's my take.
Yeah. What did you, apart from it being disconnected, what did you enjoy most about Skeleton Crew?
I enjoyed the sort of swashbuckling nature of it, and the very high adventure nature of it. And I think it being, because it was centered around kids, it makes that high adventure all the more exciting. But because you've got Fern, who is sort of she's got the Han Solo spirit in her, but she's also a kid, right? So she's got that. She's like tough on the outside, soft on the inside, and it's just such a really interesting character that I'm really glad that we got to see. I love that the Jedi sort of loom over this, and there is the Force being used, and they use it as kind of a mystery with Jod until the end, where we sort of get the explanation of what's going on there. But I like the way that's used and sort of then set aside. I think it's a really
you're talking about Jod's origins? Is that what
Jod's origins and the way he uses the Force, and it's like, it doesn't mean he has to be a Jedi to be using the Force the way that he does, right? It's just that he is Force sensitive and has learned a little bit how to control it.
Right. And I like that it was tied, this is slightly spoilery, but I like that it was tied to Order 66, but it wasn't explicitly Order 66.
Mm-hmm.
I like that because we obviously it's a turning point, it's a event in the Star Wars universe. So a lot of things, the universe changed because of Order 66.
Yes,
the galaxy changed. So you expect things to always refer back to it, but I feel like all the Star Wars shows always refer back to it now. It's like it can't help itself. So
right.
I liked this version of assuming that maybe he's a Padawan and he survived or blah blah blah. I liked the shift. I liked the shift that it delivered, because it really only compounds Jod's view of the universe or the galaxy.
Yes.
As opposed to I was a Jedi and then I wasn't, or I was a this and then I wasn't. He's kind of always is who he is, and it was just one more lesson that reaffirmed the philosophy that was already living inside him. In some ways it felt like it's a little Jason Todd-esque.
Mm-hmm.
His origin story, I'm just something bad happened, and that's the way that the cookie crumbles, everybody. So I liked the speaking of Jod, I really liked the chemistry that Jude Law had with all the kids. He's clearly a man who likes children, not Jod, but Jude Law.
Yes.
And so knew how to work with them.
Right.
I read an interview, I think early on when the show started, that he would, even when he wasn't like meant to be there, he would like, or do anything with the kids, he would always like take them aside and give them pointers and like kind of corral them and keep their energy going and point in the right direction. Like dad stuff.
Yes.
He was like, was like their dad.
Yep.
Set. And so I really liked that because like you can feel that they were like real scene partners.
Yeah.
Yeah. As opposed to somebody who's just going to be there, do the job and leave, and
right,
stuck with that.
Yeah, it shows in the way that he like talked to them even on camera.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it was really good. I'll agree with you that like the swashbuckling aspect is one of the best. I think some of my favorite Star Wars is when it's like doing the subgenre of itself.
Right. Yeah.
Like when The Mandalorian is a Western, or samurai, or when the bad example, but when like Boba Fett is a gang thing, or
yes, yes,
was a great version of it, but at least it was doing a thing.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah,
I really like that I really like when Star Wars does that, especially the non-saga movies. It like Ahsoka is the samurai and things like that, or the Ronin, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
And so he but there's not a lot of pirate stuff in Star Wars. Like there's the influence of it. Like there are, like Han Solo is a pirate.
Yes.
And so, but you don't really focus on that the same way. In Star Wars, like you watch all the movies or anything, like apart from the last season of The Mandalorian, right? That was really the only like real pirate stuff that we got, where they like really leaned into the pirateness of space pirates. And so, and I liked that here with SM-33.
Yes.
He's Smee.
Smee. I love that. Yeah.
I liked that he was Smee and Jude Law had previously played Captain Hook.
Oh, true.
Movie. So I enjoyed that little connection.
I didn't think about that. That's great.
Yeah. So like stuff like that, I really like, because actually, we haven't not talked about this at all, but I know that Marvel Comics, just today, as of us recording this, released that their next wave of Star Wars comics is post Return of the Jedi. So their Han, Luke, and Leia is centric into like the New Republic era.
Nice.
Right, which is great. I wish that was a TV show or a movie.
Yeah.
Like that to me is rife for an animated show. Like I just don't just do that. Like you proved you could do it with Clone Wars and Rebels, so why can you not do it with Han, Luke, and Leia? It's fine. I'm just here for your ideas.
Call me.
I'm sure somebody has said it at some point, and I don't understand why. Like they're not going in that direction. But anyway,
yeah.
So they're but those are comics coming. But like the description of the comic says that like pirates are filling the void left by the Empire. So like that's the main antagonist, as it was during the High Republic era, because the High Republic is also pirates.
Yes.
And so I like that the show, I like the synergy there, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
That,
yeah.
There's an overall vision for who the main antagonists in the post Republic or post Empire galaxy are.
It's a fun and fertile ground to sort of to play around in, because there's lots you can do, and like even in we saw the Rebel blockade runner land on at Atten, and like, do we think Leia was on board? I kind of think so. I kind of wonder if she was.
Totally. I feel like you don't show the Tantive 4 without assuming that Leia is on board.
Yeah.
That's her ship.
Yep.
Leading all the way to The Force Awakens, it's still her ship.
It's true.
True. So, but that's a nice inclusion, like for us. Like, I mean, Leia's probably there. I mean, this is, everybody knew about it, and like this is Treasure Planet.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so, So there's like a bit of, in some ways, there's a bit of like Treasure Island and Robinson Crusoe happening here, like, but like Swiss Family Robinson, like there's like a lot of fun pirate stuff going on in Skeleton Crew. Even the Goonies is pirates, right? They have to find
sure
the can't remember the pirate's name in the Goonies, but that's okay. I'm not going to look it up.
Dread Pirate Roberts. Let's just go with that.
Sure, it's definitely not. But
no, well, we're just going to use that as a fill-in.
It's a good one, though. Yeah, that was a good choice. Is there anything that you didn't like about the show?
Oh gosh, there wasn't a lot that I didn't like. If I'm being perfectly honest, I like, as I think about like what, there are things that I think could have been done better, but there was not a lot that was sort of that I actively disliked. I kind of thought that what was the name of the controller, what ended up being the spoilers, what ended up being that big droid in the end. I was like, what is the great work, and what is the what is it that they're actually doing here, and what is the I can't remember what the term was that they used, but there was a name they gave that character. I'm not going to use my one lookup.
I'm trying to think of it too. It'll be, yeah.
I kind of thought it would be something. Something that starts with a C, I think. I think I kind of thought it would be something more than just we make the money for the galaxy. I kind of thought it would be more than just the mint. I thought there would be something else behind the great work that was something more, maybe more sinister or what have you. But it was just a little bit more face value, I guess,
It's also a little unclear. Maybe I missed it, but why are they secretive all of a sudden? Because like they were connected to the Old Republic.
Yeah, I think because it's to protect the mint. I think it's to protect it from exactly what Jod's trying to do.
Right, but like they were cut off from the galaxy through the entirety of the Empire. Like the last message they got was how like Order 66, the Jedi can't be trusted.
Right.
And so I guess then that's like protected. Like, oh, we got to protect the Jedi are doing a thing, so like we got to protect ourselves. But
sure.
Then they just never broke from that. I don't know.
It is odd.
Yeah,
it is odd.
It does actually. What's fascinating, if you like think about it from like in the bigger Star Wars, like the New Republic starts, they don't have money, right? Because it like the money of the Empire would be no good. But now they have the mint of the Old Republic.
That's right.
I would assume Leia shows up, right? Because like, hey, guess what? We need that money. So we can like do stuff. So this is probably early. It's probably pre-Mandalorian. Because Mandalorian's 5 years post.
This is supposed to be about the same, I believe.
Yeah.
About 5 years. So it's probably, around the same time.
I see. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I don't think there was. I would have liked to have seen more of some of Jod's pirate crew. I think like there was some really cool designs, that like werewolf first mate, whatever. He, I kind of wanted more of him. He just looked cool. I wanted more of the guy that played Urkel.
He had a very small role, really, in the end. Jaleel White, for being sort of one of the, I felt like it was him and Jude Law Jude Law was obviously the star, but I was seeing Jaleel White sort of as being the second biggest star on the show, but really he was a background. That could have been anybody. Yeah. That could have been played by anybody. They didn't use his talent to any particular great use.
No, they did use Nick Frost very effectively though as SM-33.
Yes.
I really like that. I really liked how the ship that the kids were on, I can't remember the name of it, but
the Onyx Cinder.
Yeah, that's it. The Onyx Cinder. That was definitely a High Republic design ship. If you
Makes sense.
And look at like the design, the designs of the ship from the comics and the books and stuff. Like I liked
cool.
that. where they kind of
I love that.
They adhered to what had existed previously across other platforms. I enjoyed that.
I love that the legendary pirate that they're all talking about, Renard, is Donner backwards, because Richard Donner directed Goonies.
Goonies, awesome.
Yep,
awesome. See, that's some good stuff right there.
Like, just a love letter to Goonies, really.
Did you said was Fern your favorite kid out of all of them? Which one did you feel had like the best arc?
The best arc I think is Fern, because I think she starts out faking it, and she fakes it till she makes it. Like she wants to be in charge, she wants to look tough, and she's faking the bravery, but by the end she actually is brave.
That's nice.
So she fakes it till she makes it. But I think Wim and Neil both had really interesting journeys as well. Neil, not so much Neil had a nice journey where he was very scared at the beginning, and he sort of found there's a little bit of a like who found a heart, who found courage, who found there's some of that. I
guess Wim kind of found a brain, like he almost stabbed himself with the lightsaber, and then he like learned to turn it the other way. That's his little noggin.
That's good. Good for him.
Yeah, and he like knew how to and he like learned how to fix KB and everything like that.
He
like, didn't want to take the test or didn't want to do anything, so he like in some ways learned how to like use his brain. Like willingly. So I would say that's really true.
Yeah, I think there is a Wizard of Oz sort of aspect to it, which is interesting. But yeah, I think Fern. What's your? Did you have a favorite or something you particularly gravitated towards?
Neil was definitely my favorite, hands down.
Neil.
Like that was just, the kid was amazing. There's an awesome video on the Star Wars Instagram of the kids all in an interview doing like, is it retro tech or Star Wars tech? And they had to like pick which one and one. But Neil, the kid who plays Neil, just crushes the game.
Nice.
And they're all excited, but he's just so excited. He's just like, I just want to squeeze him. What a nice, what a nice looking, human being, just like living his life, just living the dream. So no, I think I liked all of them, but I think Wim's not registered with me. Like it wasn't even close to anything that I think or dream or anything like that. But I think he was a great POV character.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
Like, he just like totally unsettled with the life that he's leaving. And like, I think it was that first episode where his dad was like, all right, you got to do this. All right, remember, I got to go to work. Okay, I'll see you. And then his dad comes home and he's like, hey, can you read me a story? He's like, hey, buddy, I got to do some work. Sir, you were literally just at work all day and left your child and came home. And all he asked you to do is read one story. And your response is, no, I have to do more work. / aren't you a little old for that?
Yeah.
Like, sir,
yeah,
it's going to take you maybe 10 minutes.
Come on.
Maybe. Like, come on. Oh, yeah. That riled. I think that's what in some ways looped me into the show so strongly. Sad kids gets me.
Yes.
On television. Like, I've talked about this before, that like when no one shows up to Lex's birthday party. One of the worst. That's one of the worst things. It's when no one shows up to a kid's birthday party. I'm honestly, I'm getting upset about it right now. I could feel it in my eyes.
You know what does that for me?
Yeah.
A kid dropping their ice cream cone.
It's not the same, Frank, but it's...
No, that's what makes me sad, though, for them. I'm really? Like, I feel so sad for you. Like you're standing there, the cone's in your hand, and then the ice cream just falls to the sidewalk. You know, that
good things can disappear as quickly as ice cream falling out of a cone.
It's a sad thing. It's a hard lesson to learn that way, you know?
It is. But yeah, I think that in some ways made Wim my favorite, apart from the cuteness of Neil. But but they all kind of had they all had different family units. Like Wim had the absentee dad.
Yep.
Neil's family was smothering.
Yeah, sure.
Fern's mom was overbearing.
Mm-hmm. High expectations.
high expectations, yeah. And so it's like it's weird because she wasn't at the same time. And then I don't know about KB's parents. Those are the only ones that felt a little.
I felt like I
weren't doing a thing.
Yeah, KB was the character I connected with the least. Nothing to do with the performance at all. Just the character was
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neil, I felt like Neil reminded me most of myself.
Totally.
Wim was like a little bit of like the kid I wanted to be the adventurer, right? And then Fern was just the one that me as a grown up, I was like, that's a cool like kid character to like, and a cool like role model kind of character for kids
right.
too.
Yeah, the James Dean-esque.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, one leg up on the wall, smoking a candy cigarette, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think because Fern in some ways is disabled. Not Fern. KB is in some ways disabled, right?
Yes,
because of all the tech and whatever else. So I kind of wish that was explored with her, but I would have liked to have seen that explored with her parents a little bit more. Like, because all these parents have these different things, but she kind of feels like left on the cutting board
a little bit. Yeah, I agree.
Cutting floor, not board. She's not on the cutting board. It's terrible.
She might be. It might be one of those, like just what's the scraps that are left behind from the meal. That
no,
left on the cutting board.
Yeah. But anyway, the last thing I want to say is that I like that Jod's end is a little ambiguous.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of good eye acting going on in that last shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the last we've seen of him, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that's true.
I hope so. Yeah. Yeah. He was a great character. He really brought a lot. He didn't phone it in. He really brought a lot and had a lot of fun with that character. And I think if they're exploring this time period in comics and stuff, it'd be great to see these characters stick around or see another story involving these characters in written form. But I would love to see Jude Law come back and play this character again in some form or fashion.
Me too. I also wouldn't mind. You said that like the kids were, obviously it's been 2 or 3 years since they film and they promote.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind an adventure with them older, instead of like, oh, the next summer we're having another adventure, I wouldn't mind a reason for them as older kids to get back together, because now the dynamics are different. The lessons that the struggles that they go with or going through now are going to shift. And I hope it continues, but like you said, the streaming number, I guess they weren't satisfied with the streaming numbers.
Yeah, it sounds like it was actually one of the worst performances in terms of streaming numbers,
which is a real shame because it was good.
But see, I think I hate to say it, but I think that's the Acolyte effect of like,
totally,
the last one sucked, I don't really care about this one.
Yep, probably. I think it's a mixture. Like we talked about it a little bit already, but like it's not offering cool lightsaber battles or high stakes, so like people are like, nah, well, it's unnecessary, so I'm not going to watch it, without even really thinking like sometimes it's just necessary to watch something fun. It doesn't necessarily have to be the fate of the galaxy every time. Like it's just like, that's just kind of like, you can just watch something for the sake of watching something for fun. It doesn't have to fill in every single puzzle piece that you've been waiting for.
Yes.
But I don't know. Hey, whatever. But Frank, this was a pleasure to talk to you about Skeleton Crew. I'm glad that you enjoyed it as much as I did, potentially even more. And I enjoyed it a lot. But Frank, where can the people find us?
Head on over to beerwithgeeks.com and look through the archives of all our Star Wars chat. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube, although I'm not sure if this episode is going to make it to YouTube just because we're having some technical difficulties. We'll see about that. You can, of course, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio, and that helps us to keep on making the show.
Indeed. Well, Frank, It's a pleasure to speak with you, as always. So until next time,
Cheers.